Here's a story that I can tell. And I just remembered this. My dogs went into the kennels. How about this? Phil, you'll love this. My dogs went into the kennels while we were on holiday. We don't like to do that, but, my old man's in hospital at the moment, so we couldn't do anything else. So... This is so bad. So I went to pick them up. Well, not so bad. It's an extraordinary story. So I went to pick up the dogs, right? And I said to the bloke who runs it, I've been there quite a few times, and we looked at a sign behind the counter. How about this, Phil? I forgot to tell this yesterday. I looked at the sign behind the counter. It says, the different rates for different animals, and hamsters was on there. Now we have hamsters, and I said, I didn't know you looked after hamsters. We would take anything. He said, but we don't like to with hamsters because they die. He said they do, little animals. It's risky. We do it. He said, but that's always the thing. And while I'm waiting for my dogs who were being shampooed at the time. So he's being shampooed. I said, does that happen? Let me ask, have you ever had that happen? He said, well, I said, an actual dog while he's in your kennels. He went, oh no, it's occupational hazard. Anyone who runs kennels, you 2 or 3 a year. He said, we've got 80 kennels out there, sometimes with 2 dogs in each, over a year, a couple of 3 times. And his wife looked at him and said, tell him about last Christmas. He went, well... He said, round here, listen to this. And I gathered myself up. I thought, keep shampooing, I want to hear this. He said, last Christmas, he said, there's a certain villain. He said, you'd know him if I said his name. I thought, I don't know no villain. He said, if I said his name, you'd know him. He said, anyway, he's got 2 pit bulls and 2 Jack Russells, and he's never put them in kennels, never. So... come Christmas, his wife's, they're going off to the Bahamas, and their usual people are away, so his wife has convinced him to put him in these kennels. He said, anyway, the Bentley's crunched up the drive here. It's quite secluded. He's got out, he said, and he's, he said, I know who he is. He said, you know he was. I don't know. So he said, he's come over to me, he's got the 2 pit bulls in his hand and 2 Jack Russells. This is absolutely true story. This is not apocryphal, believe me, even if you think you know where it's going. He said, he's come across to me and his wife's going, now this one is this, and they've got someone behind with all this special food they got to have, don't want my food, they've got all their toys. He said, he's come over to me and started prodding me in the chest and saying, now listen you, right, these are my life. These dogs are my life, right? He said, I'm going, okay, show me where they're staying, right? I want to see what they're going to do. He said, the whole thing, he said, I know, you know he was. so he's taken his shown him in. Anyway, away he's gone. So this is about December the 15th. Yeah. Christmas Eve, he said, I've gone out and one of the Jack Russells is dead on the floor. He said, I opened it. I said, oh, he said, and it's stone dead. He said, a heart attack or something. He said, I've called a vet. He said, the vet's come out to the Jack Russell. He said, and he said to him, it's just died. He said, now you can imagine, it's Christmas Eve. He said, it was about 5 o'clock on Christmas Eve. He said, and this dog's dead. And he called, he said to his wife, I called you and I said, you know whose dog's dead? You know it, was it? So he said, you know whose dog's... So he said, they're treated, if they're in a kennel, as property, so you can't do nothing with them. He said, once the vet's certified, you put them in a freezer. Now, still don't. So he said, I've done that. Anyway, I can't sleep all Christmas Eve night thinking, no, he's coming back on January the 2nd, this bloke. You know who he was. Right, so he's coming back on January the 2nd. He said, so I can't sleep all Christmas Eve night. When I've got up in the morning, the 2 pit bulls have turned on the other Jack Russell and torn it up. He said, I walked in, he said, its windpipe was there and all that. He said, it was just... He said, I'm stunned now. It's Christmas morning, 10 o'clock. I've got in there. He said, he said, I've finally located a vet who's unwilling. He said, he's still breathing. I put it in the back of the car and took it off to, it was over right over in South East London. He said, I've took it to the vet, and he said, well, what's happened is, he said, there's been a power struggle. Over the years, the 2 Jack Russells have had it over the pit bull terriers. That's how it works. Once the chain of command has gone, they've seen their chance and gone for it overnight. Right? Oh, because the other thing the villain said when he turned up, you know who he was, he said, I want them all in together, they're never separated, all in together. He said, no, I'd said, no, don't do that. He said, I want them all in together, don't worry about it, they're never apart. So now, he's got this one at death's door, and he's got the 2 pit bulls and the other one who's dead. So, what's going to happen? So, it's getting towards January the 2nd, he said, he said, I'm just dragging here. He said, I'm just dying. He said, because I just don't know what I'm going to do, because this bloke's coming back. He said, January the 2nd, there I am. I've opened up the kennels that morning. He said, I can barely stand. He said, I'm holding on to the counter. Other people are coming and getting their dogs. He said, I'm dry of the mouth, thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to still see him prodding my chest? These are my light, right? He said, this bloke does not muck. You know he was. Right? He said, this bloke don't muck about. He said, about 20 to 12, I can hear a heavy car coming up the gravel. And it's pulled in. Doors open, out he's got with his brother. And he said, now you know his brother was more than him. So he said, and they both walked towards us, and I've said, it's the first day back in the new year at work, and I've walked out and I said, hello, Mr. He said, look, I've got some bad news. He went, what? He said, and as I said that, the vet who's doing his rounds at that time has come out and said, oh, are you Mr. So-and-so? He said, listen, I want to explain how it happened. Now, I haven't said anything at this point. He stood in front of me and started saying, he said, you can see the bemusement in this gangster's eyes as he's telling him what's happened is, he said, there's a power struggle, you know, they're away from you, and and what's happened. He said, and because it's a vet talking to him, he's taken a step back and thought, well, this is plainly a legitimate thing. He said, and because he's explaining it like a power struggle, the villain is taking it on board. But what the villain don't know is that the first one died of a heart attack. He just thinks the dogs have just gone at it and the two little ones have been killed. Something he kind of understands. But what he doesn't know is the circumstances. One died before it and he left them in there. He said, and I'm standing behind him going, I did all I could. It was Christmas Eve. 10 o'clock Christmas morning. He'll tell you, power struggle. Right, he said, and he's looking at it, he's saying, well, what? And he said, well, there it is. He said, and he said, I've still got the other one in the freezer. But I didn't tell him because he's listening to the vet. He said, all I'm doing is hopping from foot to foot going, what can you do? Power struggles, what can you do? He said, anyway, he swallowed it and taken it. He said, he's been back 2 or 3 times since, but he'll never forget his feelings as that car came up the drive and he was going to tell this villain 2 of his dogs are gone. And he thanked the vet in the end and said, yeah, I can see that. My fault. And he said, I said, don't put them in together. And he's looked at me as it said, don't push your luck. You know, but he blamed himself. And because the vet explained it in terms of a power struggle, he got away with it. Now, how's about that? That's something, ain't it?
That is something.
There is a story. So I meant to tell that yesterday, yeah.
Do you know what? I worked at a kennel for a long time.
Oh, no, yeah. Hang on, your CV is as long as the A2.
Well, I worked at this veterinarian hospital that also had a kennel attached to it. And when I was a teenager, in summers during high school, because I was going to be a veterinarian when I was a kid. That was my whole thing. So I worked at this Lee Highway Animal Clinic, it was called, and it had this big, posh new boarding kennels that they'd built over on the side. So one summer, this woman comes in with 2 monkeys and a cat to be boarded, like 2 little, perfect little spider monkeys. 2 monkeys holding on to each other, and
what
a cat.
Bonus.
That
what a
kind
bonus. We're in the wrong game. If this don't pan out, and there's no reason why it should, that's it. We're opening kennels, all right?
But do you know how she bought those monkeys?
How did she buy them?
She was in a fire, and she got and she was disfigured by the fire, but she got a huge insurance settlement, and she had always wanted 2 monkeys. So she bought the monkeys with her insurance settlement. So anyway, she brings these monkeys and the cat in to be boarded, right? And now my job, because I was just a teenager and was just working there, was to clean out all the cages. So I was cleaning out the cage, and the monkeys and the cat were in the same cage together because they lived together, they loved each other, that whole thing.
They all got to be together.
And the monkeys were quite, calm, and everything was fine. So I was cleaning out the cage with the monkeys and the cat in there, and then I suddenly realized the cat was gone. And I thought, oh no, I've let the cat has gone out while I was keeping my eye on the monkeys. The cat has escaped. So this whole thing ensues with the lost cat. We have to, flyer the neighborhood looking for this lost cat. We get back from flyering the neighborhood, and the cat's up a tree. So we were like, oh, perfect, there's the cat. It's up the tree. Well, the cat is, meowing. The monkeys are kind of looking for the cat. So we had this brilliant idea. If we bring the monkeys out to the base of the tree, it'll make the cat come down.
I've got to tell you, we really do have another show ready to go here. All your emails and all of that. But
so I'm holding one of the monkeys, and somebody else is holding another monkey, and we're trying to talk to the cat. We're holding up the monkeys, going, "Look, we got your monkey friends. Mr. Cat, come down.
Come on."
Yeah. So what happens then is one of the monkeys gets away, climbs up the tree with the cat. So now there's 1 monkey and 1 cat up the tree, and I'm hanging on to the other monkey. So this goes on literally. It felt like all day this going on. So we finally decided the only way to get this monkey and this cat down was with the tranquilizer dart. So the veterinarian gets his little tranquilizer dart all ready. Boom, hits the cat. Perfect. A few minutes of wobbly. The cat eventually then falls out of the tree, is caught by a blanket held by some other assistants. Great. Okay, so we've got the cat down. Now we only have to get the monkey down. So while we're focusing on getting the monkey down, the other monkey that I'm holding goes crazy, grabs the cat, who's unconscious, and takes it back up the tree. So now there's 2 monkeys and an unconscious cat up the tree.
I've got to say, we don't want to intimidate the audience because these are good stories. These are very good stories.
And we were literally like, oh my God, now there's two
monkeys.
Yeah, two
holding
monkeys
an unconscious
holding
cat.
an unconscious cat up the tree. So, I mean, the story goes downhill after that. Eventually.
No.
Yeah.
Well, one detail I left out of mine, of course, is that the other dog who was torn up actually survived. You see, he survived. The other dog so that's why the vet could do all of that and explain to him the other dog's coming home, but we couldn't save the other one. But he didn't say it was that died at the vet's hands. But anyway, so we seem to have diverted from our cause.
We never told that lady about what happened to those animals when she came back. They were all fine by the time she got back.
I'll bet. It must have made the local news.